The scandal has made the city of Bell synonymous with salary abuses by city officials, but long before Bell, there was Cudahy. Our exclusive investigation looks at a case moving through the court system right now involving what is going on in Cudahy and some friendships at the highest levels.
I would charge my mother if I had evidence against my mother.
Tough talk from LA County District Attorney Steve Cooley on the day arrests were made in the city of Bell's salary scandal. But a former assistant deputy prosecutor questions the motives of his former boss, who indicted the Bell 8 while he was running for state attorney general.
This has gone on for years, and yet only now is Cooley interested in it.
6 years ago, then Deputy DA Matthew Monforton resigned to take on his boss, exposing what he calls
a protection racket paid for with taxpayer funds.
Monforton felt Cooley had no interest in prosecuting a case similar to the Bell scandal in nearby Cudahy. Foreshadowing the Bell salary scandal, in an LA Times report in 2001, Richard Morosi wrote, "Authorities investigating the political corruption in Cudahy was a response to complaints from nearby cities, concerned that such practices would spread throughout the region if gone unchecked."
I think if a prosecution had gone forward in Cudahy on an illegal city manager appointment, things like Bell would not have developed as they did over the years.
The alleged corruption centered around current Cudahy city manager George Perez. In 2000, the Cudahy City Council passed an ordinance allowing Perez, a fellow city councilman, to be appointed city manager. Perez's annual city-paid salary jumped from $21,600 to $86,000. Perez's salary in 2009, according to this LA Times report, more than $217,000. That prompted a grand jury investigation.
One of the things that the council members did right from the very beginning was to hire a man by the name of Robert Philibosian.
The former LA County District Attorney.
He is one of Steve Cooley's closest friends.
With Robert Philibosian and several other attorneys from Sheppard, Mullin handling their case, neither George Perez or any of the Cudahy council members were indicted. Then Matthew Monforton discovered something else.
This retainer agreement drafted by Robert Philibosian.
Not only had the city council members hired Robert Philibosian, but they were using city taxpayer funds to pay him, which is illegal.
Philibosian, the former LA County District Attorney, and his law firm Sheppard Mullin were never charged by the current LA County District Attorney. So after resigning, Monforton and his attorney, Brian Condon, in November of 2005, filed a whistleblower lawsuit. The defendant, Sheppard Mullin attorneys, including Robert Philibosian. Initially dismissed, the Court of Appeals reinstated the case, ruling Monforton's argument the retainer agreement was illegal had merit. Superior Court Judge Deborah K. Weintraub agreed, and last week ruled there is sufficient evidence of a crime. Evidence not acted on by the current district attorney, Steve Cooley.
Robert Philibosian is Cooley's political mentor. He is the godfather of at least one of Steve Cooley's children. They own property together in Lake Arrowhead.
In fact, property records confirmed that the Arrowhead vacation property owned jointly by Robert Philibosian and Steve Cooley. Now, Monforton said that when he pointed out this obvious conflict of interest, he was told the property was actually owned by their wives.
In this February 2005 letter sent by the LA County DA's office to the State Attorney General's office, it was pointed out the Lake Arrowhead property was jointly owned by Mrs. Cooley and Mrs. Philibosian. But a recent property search revealed that while Mrs. Philibosian and Mrs. Cooley are co-owners of the Lake Arrowhead vacation property, so are their husbands.
I was angered and offended by the corruption that I saw. Instead of looking into it in any serious fashion, or better yet, transferring the matter to the Attorney General's office, they covered it up.
Now, Matthew Monforton and his attorney Brian Condon tell me they hope to recover more than $2 million in legal fees for Cudahy taxpayers, but that Cudahy city leaders are not cooperating. Both Robert Philibosian and Steve Cooley declined comment for this report.